reach a state of gratitude, you will release 1,300 biochemical reactions that will release anti-aging hormones and healing chemicals into your bloodstream for 6 to 8 hours. When you think negative or stressfully about a situation, it dumps chemicals into our bloodstream that actually break everything down.
Thanks for listening to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye-bye, everybody. People ask me all the time what my skincare regime is. And I always laugh because for years, just like everybody else here in the United States, I spent lots of money on my skincare, the behind-the-counter cosmetics or the special Miss K and her cosmetics. But when I got to be about 55 or so, I had a significant change in my skincare. I happened to have been relocated for a brief period of time to Texas for about 18 months, and my skin got very dry. It didn't agree with the water. And so I started using something else. Actually, my own skincare thing, this is I just made for myself, very different than what I was using before. And I thought it'd be a great idea for us to have someone come on and talk about our skin as we age and why it changes and what her philosophy and scope of practice is when it comes to helping women to really look vibrant and beautiful even as they age. Today I have with me Laurel Hoover, and Laura is the founder of, gotta pause here, I'll fix that. She is the founder of Skin Love, offering natural skincare through cellular regeneration using ancient techniques. She completed the plant medicine program at Cornell University, and now she was mentored under Native American medicine keeper and is a certified quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. I think your background is so interesting. Laurel, how did you come to decide that you wanted to look more into the idea of skincare for women as they age?
It started about 17 years ago when I was actually in my mid-30s, and I had spent far too much time in the sun and not paid attention to skincare. And I was afraid of needles. I was afraid of doing anything that was aggressive to my skin. It just didn't feel right. And it happened to coincide with my neighbor's 80-year-old mother coming to visit from China. And she was rubbing the rinds of all the produce and fruit that she ate on her face and started teaching me what each of the plants did. And I had this aha moment, and I thought, how else could I get these nutrients? And then I started looking into botanical oils. And then I just naturally started playing with those. And then fast forward, I was mentored under Blue Wolf, who's the Muskogee Nation medicine and wisdom keeper, and Cornell plant medicine. And also with the quantum healing, I discovered a lot about how gene expression is turned on and off through our internal chemistry and how our chemistry is dictated by our emotions primarily. So a lot of aging has to do with how you metabolize your feelings.
Interesting. You said a whole lot there. Let's break it down a little bit. First of all, let's talk about the regenerative blends that you're using. My ears perked right up because I heard you use the word oils. And full disclosure, I haven't had a chance yet to try your method, but I do understand the healing benefits of using oils on your skin because that is a significant part of my regime. Tell us a little bit about the botanical regenerative blends that you use.
Would love to. First, I think that it's important for everybody to know that all medicine and all cosmetics that we purchase are synthetic forms of a constituent that was originally from a plant or a mineral. And if you go directly to the source, it's extraordinarily potent. And if you understand what your needs are and what each constituent does, it's really easy to put a little cocktail, an oil blend together. I work with over 300 plants that will do exactly what you would like. And all different plants have constituents that do all different things. So I tailor it exactly to the person. And I'll put a pin in that because there's a quantum aspect to that, not just the chemical aspect. And I don't know if we're for
That's
dialogue.
interesting because that was the next thing I was going to ask you about. I know a lot of people have heard the word quantum, and usually it's in comparison with quantum physics. But tell us a little bit about your philosophy of practice when it comes to the quantum part of your practice.
All right. So we are quantum beings. We're particle and wave. Everything in space time is particle and wave. And the same way that our bodies know what to do with the chemical of the plant, the wave form of our body knows what to do with the wave form of the plant. And only natural botanicals offer the wave form of the medicine. And the wave form we experience as emotion. So the Taoists actually had a huge manuscript, many manuscripts that laid out what the energetics of the plants healed emotionally to then heal us physically. And as we get further in biophysics, everything they said is accurate. And actually, they mapped far beyond what we've been able to test with machines. But what we know is that the waveform of a plant is the same energy as the particle. And it's a wave that triggers our emotions. That's how our energetic body works. So our pituitary gland, our amygdala, our hypothalamus gland, they all produce our emotional cocktail that we experience as emotions. And that happens because it was energetically triggered by our system. And I can get deeper into that or not.
You know,
But
that's
with the wave,
interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead and finish. I was just going to say that's so interesting because I was also thinking about trauma and how
yes.
unprocessed trauma sits in the body in different places and influences so many things, including the way we look. So, hearing what you're saying about emotions, that falls right into the same wavelength. And I noticed that you use the regenerative blends and you use the meditation and, of course, the concept behind quantum physics and facial massage and face yoga. How does this all work together to replace the idea of someone who wants to have a facelift?
Oh my goodness, you don't need a facelift. I have clients actually in their 80s. And if you go to my website, you can see before and after. So the way that it all comes together is if you can control your gene expression for aging, which epigenetics tells us is just controlling your internal chemistry. So if you have the botanical plant oils, which are fat soluble, they get into your system, that becomes part of your chemistry. The waveform of the plant starts to heal you emotionally. You start to get triggered less. The physical outcome of the emotion that isn't metabolized gets trapped in your fascia. And your fascia is between the muscle and the skin. And then that becomes rigid. And then when it becomes rigid, your fat sags, you start to have jowls, you have eye bags, you get hollow cheeks. That's all triggered from emotion. And so to bring it all together, when you meditate, you can then parent your thought life and produce different cocktails from your brain to combat the emotional, the non metabolizing of your trauma. The plant oils, the waveform helps you release the trauma on your behalf. And then the mechanotransducive face massage, you can actually massage your face in a way that it sculpts. You press so hard that the skin says, oh my goodness, I need to produce more. My whole lipid barrier needs to beef up. I need to produce more collagen, more elastins to protect myself. Your skin gets thicker, it plumps up, it lifts. And then the face yoga, you can't have tight skin without tight muscles. You just cannot. You've got 44 muscles in your face. So I teach you exactly how to exercise your face because your expression only moves to your personality. So the full extension of that muscle is never fully met. So when you do face yoga, it only takes a few minutes a day, targeted to where you need. You can regenerate your entire face from the fascia to the muscle to the skin itself.
And I just had someone on that was talking about the fascia and the importance of moving the fascia. And for those of you who didn't listen to that podcast yet, there'll be a link in the show page where you can listen to that podcast as well, because fascia is fascinating. But I would love for you to share with those who are listening to this right now, what is fascia and why is it so important when it comes to our skin and the way our skin presents or the way we look?
Oh my goodness. So fascia is everything for the skin. It's the interface between the muscle and the skin, and it's the largest connective tissue that runs throughout our entire bodies, and it holds memory. It holds memory of positive and negative, and it holds memory of not only our physical expression, but our emotional expression. It's that quantum interface between, it's like the Akashic record of the body, if you know what that means. It means that it will, if you move your face in a certain way, the fascia will crimp and it'll hold it there. So until you move it and massage it and break it up, it can get stuck with fibrin. And fibrin is basically, you could equate it to scar tissue where it just will hold it in place. So you can do everything possible to get rid of a wrinkle, but if that fascia is still hard and the emotion and the fibrin isn't released from it, you're never going to fully get rid of it. You can do that in 90 days with proper face massage.
It's interesting because I was talking with my TikTok audience. I do TikTok lives about 3 or 4 times a week, and we were talking about dry brushing. And I'm a big dry brusher because it does help to move the lymph. But I had just seen on a video that a client sent me of a woman who was doing dry brushing with the face. And she was moving the lymph in the face. How do you think the dry brushing might impact in terms of fascia? Does it move the fascia, or is there a different kind of massage you need to do in order to actually move the fascia?
It does a good job. I teach a little bit more aggressive. It's a safe style that I teach, but it's aggressive. You can use tools like a gua sha or dry brushing. You can use all that, but your best instruments to break up your fascia are your fingers and your hands. They really are.
I am loving my conversation with Laurel Hoover, and we will be right back right after this message.
What if menopause didn't have to feel like a battle, but a transition you actually feel good in? Introducing VitaFem, a plant-based alternative designed to support your body naturally without synthetic hormones. If you've been feeling off, dealing with night sweats, anxiety, brain fog, frozen shoulder, low energy, mood shifts, or restless nights, VitaFem works with your body to help restore balance so you can feel like yourself again. No harsh chemicals, no synthetic HRT, just powerful plant-based support that helps you feel vibrant, steady, and in control. Ready to experience menopause differently? Discover how VitaFem can support your next chapter naturally. That reminds me of another thing that I saw, because I've been studying this for a while. I'm working on my doctor's in a holistic medicine, and I've been studying the fascia for a while because it's something that you don't hear Western doctors talk a lot about. But the interesting thing is that, you know how as we get older, we get these bat wings underneath our arms? You probably already know this, but most of that is rooted in the fascia. It's not necessarily because you've gained weight. It's not necessarily because of your hormones, but it's because of the fascia, because that hasn't been moved or manipulated for quite some time. Most women don't know how to do it or think about it. They just figure it's because they need to lose weight, when in reality, it has to do with the pinching right along here, okay, to move that fascia. It's interesting because it's very painful at first, but you know that it's making a difference and that it's getting better because it's not as painful over time. And so I started doing it just to see if it would make a difference. I don't have a lot of bat wings, but I got something going on there. And it did make a difference. So I would imagine doing the same kind of thing, if clearly instructed with your fingers, with your face, could have the same kind of result.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People are, when they get the hang of it, the first month is the skin has a 30-day cycle, 28-day cycle where it regenerates itself, but it will regenerate itself as a copy of what it was. So if you can get in there and massage it properly, you put regenerative botanical oils on it, you do the face massage and beef up your muscles, you can create the face you want in 90 days. It works pretty quickly.
What about somebody who's genetically predisposed to have baggy eyes or a furrowed brow or laugh lines and things like that? Because they're genetically predisposed, can you still change the way it looks with these exercises?
Absolutely, because epigenetics shows us that we are able to program our gene expression. We can turn our genes on and off. So it takes a little more effort, but then once you're there, if you just do a little maintenance, you can keep it there. You're basically rewiring everything about that targeted area that it needs to know to stay in a different place because muscle memory works both ways. You can teach it new muscle memory. You can teach your genes new gene expression. So yes, yes, it does not matter what you're predisposed to. A person has sovereignty and is in control and can choose how they want to manipulate these amazing suits that we live in to express in a healthier way.
Let's explore that a little bit about epigenetics. You talked about it a little bit, but explain to our listeners, what does epigenetics, what is that? I know what it is, and I think it's fascinating. When you explain it, it really does make sense when you really talk about what it is, that you can manipulate what your predisposition might be, especially when it comes to appearances. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So epigenetics was basically birthed in the 80s, early 80s, and it's the first time that quantum physics was overlaid as a lens to look at biology. And epi means above. So it's one tier above biology. It's the quantum level that we now understand. And what it says is that the internal chemistry changes the way that the DNA expresses its genes, meaning your internal chemistry is made up of your emotions, what you eat, what you smell, what you absorb through your lungs, what you absorb through your skin. All of that internal chemistry then is basically around that DNA and it's giving it signals. So if you're predisposed to something, that means that you also have a habit energy that came in your DNA. And that habit energy is what is holding you in that trajectory of whatever your predisposition is. But if you put a different chemistry in and different movement in, it will literally turn off the genes that you think are inevitable, but they're not. I hope that was a simplified
Yes.
way to put it.
And that brings to mind something else, which is in the same vein in terms of our abilities to be able to recreate ourselves, basically. Same kinds of things. For those of you who've been taking a look at neuroscience, which has gotten very popular right now, and you've heard about the idea of creating new neural pathways by certain things that you can do through tapping or affirmations or frequency or sound. So what I'm hearing is that this is very similar to neuroplasty, but we're actually dealing with the DNA, which is actually malleable, which a lot of people don't realize. And I hear people all the time say they're genetically predisposed. And we talk about epigenetics. Yes, there's things you can do to manipulate, but there's also things you can do environmentally that can make a difference. Can you talk about that a little bit in terms of things that we can do environmentally to have better results in terms of our aging process when it comes to our skin?
Sure. Now, environmentally, exterior to our bodies or interior to our bodies?
Both exterior to our body and interior to our bodies.
First, okay, so it isn't fair to say get rid of chemicals in your house because we are chemical, right? Even water is a chemical. So you need to, I actually offer a freebie on my website that tells you the 12 primary chemicals to watch out for. But you have to clean up your body care, your home cleaning care, all of that needs to get, you need to be really mindful if there's any harsh chemicals in there that will disrupt your endocrine system or your hormones. There's a lot of stuff that's out
Yes.
there. So that's number one. But number two, the biggest impact to our genes rewriting themselves is our emotional life. The
Mm.
amygdala, hypothalamus, and pituitary glands, if you can reach a state of gratitude, you will release 1,300 biochemical reactions that will release anti-aging hormones and healing chemicals into your bloodstream for 6 to 8 hours. When you think negative or stressfully about a situation, it dumps chemicals into our bloodstream that actually break everything down. And you need both. You have to work out a muscle and tear it down to build it up. So we need both sets of emotions. But if you don't recorrect from the chronic stress, then your internal chemistry will just erode and erode. So if you can come into the heart, what's called heart brain coherence, which is when there's zero point 0.1 hertz of energy flowing from the heart to the brain, we experience that. That energy is what triggers the 1,300 biochemical reactions. And we experience that as gratitude or appreciation. When your eyes up and you just feel so grateful for something, you've just released anti-aging hormones into your body. If you can do that every day for just a moment, reach that state,
That
that
is so
alone will de-age you.
And I definitely understand what you're saying. I've done a lot of study with hormones as well because most of my demographic are in the throes of something that's based in their hormones. And we're always in a quest of trying to find out ways to drive down cortisol levels, which is can be, we need our cortisol, but not to the level that it's always secreted because of chronic stress and other factors. And if you're able to learn how to lower your cortisol, then your estrogen raises, your progesterone does, your testosterone, your feel good hormones, all of that. And one of the things that I've talked about was gratitude, entering into gratitude, writing about the things that you were thankful for and how that impacts the body. Now you've added something else that I can share with them in terms of ultimately making a difference in terms of how they might look. So tell us a little bit about what happens when someone comes to you complaining about baggy eyes and saggy skin. What kind of intake do you do? What kind of discussion do you have with them?
I ask them what their goals are, what they'd like to change, what they're currently doing, and then I ask a whole slew of questions around, are they on medication? Are they photosensitive? Do they have allergies? Blah, blah, blah. And then I come up with a blend for the first 30 days, and the blend gets tweaked over the 90 days. Every 30 days, we build on it. The first 30 days is basically a reconstruction type of a blend to repair the cell walls, heal up the DNA. So the botanical oil blend is piece one. There's a meditation master class where I teach you, it's just doing the meditations. You just have to lay down and listen to the meditations. There's heart brain coherence meditations, but also you can run your energy through your meridians. So if you've ever heard of an acupuncture facelift, you can do it with your mind. So it takes 14 to 17 visits to an acupuncturist, but with the meditation master class that comes with the program, by the end of the 90 days, you know how to run that energy through your body yourself, where you need it. So the meditation master class is part of it. Then the face yoga master class is the other piece. I show you how to build up the muscles that are targeted. And then together we come up with the proper massage routine because some people do need lymphatic drainage before they get into the mechanotransducer face massage. So it's those four parts. So they could expect to spend maybe 30 minutes. It's like a boot camp. So it'd be about 30-minute investment a day for 90 days. They'll have a completely new face. And then maintenance is next to nothing. And you just need your botanical oil blend. You don't need any other skincare.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned botanical oils because whenever I first mention to people that I use oils to cleanse my face, there's always a pushback because they're thinking you're clogging your pores. And I said, no, it depends on the kind of oils that you're using. You want to have the right sourcing done, but actually, it's the best way to clean your face. It's the best way to help with regeneration of your skin and even can sometimes take the place of scrubs if you're wanting to remove that gray pallor. We just have so many ways of thinking in our westernized medicine that's just limiting. so, so I'm so glad to hear you say these wonderful things. Now, tell me a little bit about the kinds of plants. You said you use quite a few plants. What are some of the plants that you use in your process?
A great example for what you just said would be meadowfoam. Meadowfoam is this precious little flower that it looks like a just foam is on a meadow. But when it's cold pressed, the seeds are cold pressed, and that oil gets massaged into the face. It actually has a comedogenic rating of 0, and there are constituents in it that actually kick out all the junk in your pores. So if you massage meadow foam on, you'll clear your pores out. So that's a good example for what you just mentioned as a problem.
Now, have you ever helped parents that have children, the teenagers with the acne and all that? Do you ever get into that particular kind of practice as well?
That's one of the easiest things to solve for. You do not need Accutane. I have helped so many teenagers come off Accutane and they get far better results and they heal. They come off of the Accutane just cold, and within a week, their skin is not producing more pimples. And then after a month or so, we just work on erasing all the scarring.
Well, that is wonderful. I am such an advocate of using natural skincare, natural hair care. I was not always that way. I started out in this business at 51 after leaving corporate America because of an anxiety disorder. And so I really had to learn from scratch. And 18 years later, here I am still talking about it, still passionate about it because it made such a huge difference in my life. I know that had I stayed in corporate America, I would definitely look 69 or older. No doubt about it. So, talk to us a little bit about stress and how stress can make a difference when it comes to your skin health.
So stress produces a chemical cocktail that will dull your skin, promote wrinkling, promote sagging, and just promote like an overall imbalance in your sebum production. And sebum is the oil in your skin. Your hormone levels are what control sebum. And you've got antigens that are in your skin that are completely reliant on messages from the gut, which is where all your hormones primarily are controlled from. So if you're under stress all the time, you're going to have either dry skin, patchy skin, dull skin, and then, not to mention all of that chronic stress when it's not metabolized properly, it gets stored in our organs, it gets stored in the fascia. The fascia gets rigid, then the fat falls, and it's just a whole cascading issue. So, if you stay in a state of chronic stress, it will catch up to your skin. It absolutely will. I'm turning 52 and I look around at people that are my age, and this is that age where it starts to show up. You can't cheat it anymore. And this is the age that is so beautiful to turn it around, but you can really turn it around at any age. That's the secret.
And you're absolutely gorgeous. Your skin is beautiful. Those of you take a look at her picture on the showcase. She's absolutely gorgeous. And I can tell that you practice what you preach. I'm going to talk a little bit about something else because I'm passionate about this also. A lot of women like to go to and put cosmetics on their face. They like to go to the cosmetic powder counter and spend hundreds of dollars on some of the skincare. And the thing that is interesting about it is that even though this is made for women, there's a lot of things in these skincare programs that can really hurt you. Can you talk a little bit about what those things are?
My goodness, that's a long list of things.
Where do I start? Right?
Of long chemical names. There's so many. But you know what? Unfortunately, if there's anything with a derivative of my first name, don't touch it. Any Laurel sulfate, Laureth, anything with my name, it actually causes sterility in females. And it's in everything. It's in toothpaste. It's everywhere, and it's legal. So if you see something on the side of the ingredients and it sounds chemically and you don't know what it is, it's
Don't.
probably not good to put on your skin. And I can actually send a freebie to you to have as a download, which is the top things, the dirty dozen to avoid.
Fantastic. I would love to do that. And I can just say, just from my own experiences of study and the things that block the production of estrogen. And that is unfortunately most of the brands that are out there, including the stuff that you put on your feet and your arms and legs that smell so good. There's a popular store that people like to go to and they think they're doing their body good. But boy, there's a bunch of estrogen blocker stuff that's in there. And after 40 in particular, because your estrogen is already going down, it seems like it's like cruel to be promoting or producing products for older women that have this stuff in it that makes the situation worse over time. So please read the labels. Please go and check out Laurel Hoover's website. And can people schedule a consult with you to find out what kinds of programs you have available? How does that work? If someone were to
Oh,
contact you.
absolutely. I offer free consults for people. And also, there are a myriad of oils that have plant-based estrogen that help us actually balance out our metabolism. They get absorbed topically that we can add into people's blends that help you balance out your cortisol levels. There's a lot of things you can do topically with fat-soluble plant oils to help balance those things out.
Absolutely. Oh, Laurel, I'm so glad that you came on and talked about this because you're talking about topics that I've been studying, that I'm part of my dissertation is going to be about this very topic in terms of natural skincare. So thank you so much for being on the V.I.B.E podcast. It's wonderful having you here today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And for all of you, please go to the showcase. That's where all the good information is, where you can get her website. We're going to have a free download for you. And for those of you who have really struggled on trying to figure out what to do, and you don't want to do your own thing, you don't feel like doing what I did, figuring out what works for you, this is the kind of service you want to invest in. Remember, folks, I tell you all the time, either pay for it on the front end or the back end, but guaranteed you're going to pay for it. And on the back end, you really don't get a chance to see the benefit of it because the back end, you're usually lying down somewhere and not moving. So therefore, before you get to that point, start finding out what kinds of things you can do holistically for yourself to improve your aging process and the quality of your life. And skincare should be number one on your list. So please check out about Laurel Hoover and the services that she provides. And thanks so much for listening. Please take a look at all the over 175 podcasts that we've had over the last couple of years. There's some fantastic information from wonderful mind, body, spirit experts just like Laurel Hoover, who really can help you get the information you need to be able to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in midlife.
Before we close, a quick thank you to our sponsors, VitaFem and Sanu. VitaFem supports women through menopause naturally, and Sanu uses sound therapy to help relieve nasal congestion and support better breathing. You'll find more information on the show page. Please check them out and support the sponsors who support this podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to vibe, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye-bye, everybody.